Hey there guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing great. So today I'm going to be doing a video on, as you can see above, 10 TV shows that in some way, shape, or form I feel like had a hand in raising me. Now, the reason I say that is because when a child is born, and I can say this as a parent, so when a child is born, a parent is not handed a rule book or a survival guide in how to raise them. They're not given a list of lessons that they need to cover or topics that they need to teach you, because at the end of the day, you and I might end up experiencing 200 things that our parents never experienced. And our parents can't walk us through things that they've never experienced before. And therefore, that is the magic of television, is connecting with characters that you have things in common with that, unfortunately, or in some cases very fortunately, you don't have in common with your parents. And that is why today I'm going to tell you guys 10 TV shows that I grew up with that, like I said, I think have a pretty big hand in raising me. And before I get started, I wanted to ask you guys to please leave in the comments below a TV show that you've more recently found that you wish you could have found when you were a child. It could be something that you feel like it could have taught you something to help you through a situation. For me, my show is, just kidding, I'm going to tell you guys at the end of the video. So if you want to know what show I really wish I could have found like 15 years earlier, all you have to do, guys, watch the end of the video and you'll find out. Alright, so in number 10, we've got Saved by the Bell, which aired from 1987 to 1992. What's really cool about this show is, and there's a couple like this, but what's really cool about this show is that we actually are able to follow these characters from elementary school all the way through to college. Most of the characters, we get to watch them grow and see what they experience as they grow, and that's kind of magic, honestly. So this show follows 6 main characters from, like I said, elementary school to college. And throughout the seasons, or series, we connect with different characters, and we obviously grow feelings for these characters. Now, at some point in the series, right as the SATs are coming out, we have one character who becomes addicted to caffeine pills. So I think it's actually really important to show characters that, you know, the writers know that the younger audience looks up to, going through situations like addiction or eating disorders or something of that sort, because I think that it's really important for us to see someone we look up to go through something so that we can realize, like, oh my gosh, even the most perfect person isn't perfect, because nobody is perfect. And that's a really, really hard lesson to learn, but it has to eventually be learned. All right, so number 9, we've got That's So Raven, which aired from 2003 to 2007. Basically, it follows the story of a girl who is psychic and can see into the future. I think that the reason why it made the list is because we do see Raven with her talent or her gift, and we see how she's treated. But then we also see other people with their talents, their gifts, and their setbacks, their hobbies, their this, their that, and the other thing. And we see how the characters treat them. And I think that's really important, is to see people, again, that you look up to, and how they can treat every person like a person, no matter what their downfall is. And more importantly, there's an episode actually that stands out very, very prominently in my mind. I haven't seen this show in years, but there's an episode that's very important, and that's because it's about race. So basically in this episode, Raven is trying to get a job at this clothing store, and because she's African American, the lady says no. And then they go through this little test. Raven realizes, like, she didn't hire me because of my skin color. And at their school, it's Black History Month. So they're like learning about this kind of thing. And so what they do is Chelsea goes in the store, and while Raven is talking to the manager, because the manager is watching Raven, instead of watching Chelsea, who's literally picking up, putting things in her pockets and everything else, she's too busy watching Raven to see that Chelsea's the problem at that point. All right, so number 8, we've got Brotherly Love, which aired from 1995 to 1997. You guys know I've talked about this one before. If you haven't seen that video, you can check it out up here. So basically, the reason why this TV show has made this video is because, well, I really relate to it, actually. I've told you guys a couple times now, I have a brother who's 15 years older than me. He's my half-brother. And honestly, my situation kind of feels very, very similar to that in Brotherly Love. So basically, in Brotherly Love, we have the older brother who has 2 half-brothers and a stepmom. His dad has passed away. And he is going to his stepmom to get his third of the inheritance from his dad's will. And she says, I'm sorry, there isn't any money, because once your dad passed away, we fell into basically bankruptcy because I can't keep this garage working because I don't know anything about cars. So he said, okay, I'm going to stay. I'm going to spend some time with my brothers, spend some time with you, spend some time in the shop, and I'm going to get you out of the hole so that I can receive my money and move on with my life. Now, of course, once he starts hanging out with his brothers, he kind of doesn't really want to leave anymore. So I think that the important thing is like seeing this blended family come together, putting aside their differences, their commonalities, and their ages, and just being a family. So number 7. So this one's kind of weird to be on my list, but hopefully you'll understand in a second. So 2002 to 2006, we've got Creepy Canada. Now, the reason why this one's made the list is because, as most of you know, I'm very, very interested in ghosts and paranormal and all that fun stuff. And I don't think that would be the case if I wouldn't have been introduced to Creepy Canada. So basically, Creepy Canada was a TV show that every episode they featured a couple commonly known or well-known spirits, ghosts, or demons that are in Canada. So I think that it's really important for this show to be on my video because this show opened my mind to paranormal and to, you know, not just ghosts, but to like the idea of the afterlife too. I think it's one of those things, like, because I was so young when the show aired, I never really thought about death. I never really thought about any of that kind of stuff, obviously, because I was a child. But I think that once I started watching this show, like, I can't even describe the interest I had in it. It sparked my curiosity and my interest in a way that nothing else ever really has. So I think that that's like really cool. So since this show since paranormal is kind of like a huge chunk of my soul, it just had to be on this list. So that's why that's here. All right, guys. So for number 6, I've got Disney's Recess, which aired from 1997 to 2001. So in this show, there's so many lessons. So there's like losing a pet, dealing with bullies, dealing with teachers' pets, dealing with viruses. There's a episode about everyone getting sick. Actually, it's kind of weird that there's one episode in particular that really like jumps out in my mind, and for some reason, I don't know why, but so basically in this episode, so the theory or the point behind it is, you know, standing up for what you believe in. And so basically in this episode, the schools decide they're going to tear down the old jungle gym and build a new one. And all of the kids get like really up in arms. They're like, you're not tearing this down. And then word gets out and parents start showing up and they're like, we played on this when we were kids too. It's historic. You can't take it down. And grandparents show up and then other teachers come out, and suddenly you've got 400 people sitting on top of this playscape, and they're singing We Cannot Be Moved until, spoiler alert, the whole thing comes crashing down. They get a new one anyway. But it's important that they stood firm till the very end. As someone who's taken place in a couple of walkouts and a couple of school strikes, I can say it's very important that you stand your ground. Like, this school is going to be a place you're going to be spending a lot of your time. You have to think about it. 13 to 14 years everybody spends in school. You spend a lot of time there. And if you're not happy with something, it's kind of important to vocalize it, because if you don't, then things will never change. And especially if you know you're not the only one that doesn't like it. it's important to make the changes that are necessary, because as time goes on, people evolve, needs change, wants change, and, you know, the schools have to evolve too. So, yeah, I don't know. I just really like that episode, and I really liked that show when I was a kid, so yeah, that's why it's on there. All right, under number 5, we've got Lizzie McGuire, which aired from 2001 to 2004, and basically, this show is a survival guide for young teen girls. I mean, there is boy stuff in there too, maybe not as much as girl stuff, but there is boy stuff in there too. So we do have the 3 main characters, who are Lizzie, Gordo, and Miranda. So we've got 2 girls and a boy. So we see the girls, what kind of changes they go through during puberty and all that fun stuff. We see Lizzie demand that she wants a bra.
I want a bra, okay? A bra!
We see one of the characters go through an eating disorder. You know, we see first jobs, first kisses, first dates. It's literally everything, you know. Mother-daughter bonding, father-son bonding. It's basically just coming of age stuff. So it's like a survival guide to help young teen girls get over that hump of awkwardness into full teenagerhood. All right, so as number 4, we've got Smart Guy, which aired from 1997 to 1999. So in this show, we've got young TJ, who is 10, and he's smart enough that they decided he's not going to skip 1 grade, not 2 grades, not 3 grades. He's going to go all the way up to high school. And therefore, he's going to stand out just a little bit. And so basically we see how many adjustments he has to make, but not just him, his brother, his father, his sister. They all have to make all of these adjustments, because suddenly they're not just, you know, coaxing through high school. They're now, you know, surrounded by fangirls of their little brother and bullies of their little brother. So another really big reason why I wanted to talk about this one today is because they actually showed a very, very, very important issue that's actually bigger now today than it even could have ever been back then. And that is, there's a full episode on a child predator. So basically the main character TJ and one of his friends have run into this man at a game store, and this guy's boasting and bragging about how he has this brand new game that no one else has, and says it's a brand new surfing game, I've got the 4D surfboard and blah blah blah. And so they're like, oh my god, that sounds like so much fun. So they go, and he's able to talk them into doing the 4D surfboard in bathing suits. And at some point, TJ starts to feel very uncomfortable. 96% of children under the age of 10 have access to the internet. It's a very important issue, and it happens every day. So yeah, I think that since they did cover that kind of situation, like, I grew mad respect for that show. And plus, like, as back then I was that age, like I was like 10, 11, I was on the internet all the time. So it's actually a very important lesson. And especially because my mom and my dad didn't really know much about the internet, because the internet kind of didn't really happen until I was like 5 or 6, and then slowly, you know, dial up, blah, 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 blah. Let's just say, to those who are like under 20, life was a lot different 20 years ago. So number 3, we've got Home Improvement, which aired from 1991 to 1999. And this is a story time I plan on telling at some point. So I don't want to go in too much detail. Plus, I also don't really want to spoil it. So, okay. So in season 7, there is a health issue with middle child, Randy, played by Jonathan Taylor Thomas. So basically, if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen it, hey, you know exactly where it is now. And you can go see it if you'd like to. But basically, Randy Taylor faces a health scare. And quite honestly, it is pretty much identical to the health scare I went through. And we ended up with the same diagnosis in the end too. And like I said, I do want to do a story time on this. It'll be coming out sooner than later. But yeah, basically when I was 13 or 14, I was basically told I had cancer. I was getting ultrasounds monthly. I was getting blood tests done weekly. They were monitoring growths and this, that, and the other thing, and throwing all these huge words at me. There was a biopsy scheduled and all of that. It was terrifying. But yeah, so that episode hit me in a way you don't even know. And it's really, really interesting because the diagnosis, I know I'm leaving you guys a lot of blanks, I'm sorry, but the diagnosis, the funny thing about the diagnosis is that my doctor, so at this point I was 13 or 14, and he'd been a doctor for like 30 years at that point. And he straight up told me, Michelle, you are the first person under the age of 35 I've ever given this diagnosis to. I was 13. So what does that tell you? And the funny thing is that this kid, who was probably around 13, 14, 15, had the same diagnosis as me. And you know how, like, what a shot in the dark that was. I think seeing that, like, and seeing somebody go through, like, exactly kind of what I went through, it was, it hit different. All right, number 2, Degrassi, which aired from 2001 to 2017. It's a lot of seasons, a lot of people, a lot of characters. Speaking of which, there is at least one character that every single person who watches the show can relate to in some way or another. I'll just read the note I wrote because it's easier, because I spent a lot of time writing it and now I can't think of it. Everyone can relate to someone. Anything you're going through, someone on this show will or has gone through it as well, solidifying the point of saying you're not alone. And then examples of some of the things is cheating, first kisses, first times, consent versus non-consent, deaths, illnesses, breakups, out-of-league crushes, tests, grades, extracurriculars, bullies, sexual orientation, drugs, alcohol, mental illnesses, pregnancy, and then also they touch on some very, very life-changing, real tragedies, such as school shootings, car accidents, suicides, murders, kidnappings. There's literally a bit of everything. In some way, shape, or form, like, you'll find something you've gone through. And I think that that's, like, really comforting, is to not just find someone with something in common, but to see someone get out of the situation you might be in. I love that show. And just so you know, it's also, every single episode is available on their YouTube channel. And their YouTube channels can be linked in the description below. And the number 1 show on my list is Boy Meets World, which aired in 1993 to 2000. So this is another one of those shows that we follow the main characters from elementary school all the way up to college and beyond. First of all, you see a lot of different aspects of family life. So you've got Corey and Eric. They're brothers, and their parents are happily married. They also have a little sister, and, you know, they've got money, they've got good education, they've got happily married parents. And then you've got Corey's best friend, Sean, who lives in a trailer park. His dad is an alcoholic. His mom abandoned him. And they're literally polar opposites, which is really, really cool to me because of how well they get along and how well they kind of blend. So yeah, there's that aspect of it. But then, of course, there's also the real world situations, such as scams, first jobs, first kisses, first other things, death, abandonment, marriage, alcohol abuse, drug abuse, physical abuse. We see everything. We see a little bit of everything. We see people playing with the law a little bit and stuff. Then there's a bright, bright side to all of it. And he goes by the name of Mr. Feeney. So Mr. Feeney is next door neighbor to Corey, Eric, them. But he's also the teacher in the elementary school. So Feeney is a mentor and educator in the show. And he's not just a mentor and educator to his students, he's kind of a mentor and educator to everyone who watches the show. So he is a character that is full of life advice and life lessons. I do have a little clip I'll show you at the end of the video here of some of his amazing life lessons and his quotes. He's honestly an amazing character. He's got an answer for everything. Even if he doesn't have an answer, he has an answer. It's kind of incredible. You know what? I'm not even going to say anything else about it. Here's those clips right now.
Sometimes the things you complain most about are the things that you care most about. Unfortunately, we don't always know that until it's too late. You see, it's not enough to leave school and just desire to succeed in this cold, cruel world, because then you simply become a part of it. You must also have the desire to change it. You don't have to be blood to be family. The real hero is someone who does the right thing when the right thing isn't the easy thing to do. Sometimes the sure thing is not the best thing. Believe in yourselves. Dream. Try. Too good.
There you go. See what I mean? He is an incredible man. Alright, so that's the end of this video, but before I say my goodbyes, I wanted to remind you to please remember to comment in the comment section below what is one show that in the more recent years of your life you've seen and you kind of wish you could have seen when you were younger. For me, my magical answer is Gilmore Girls. Gilmore Girls I watched for the first time when I was, I think, on maternity leave after I had my son. So it would have been like six and a half years ago. And I've watched it 3 times since then. All the way through. Every episode. And I think every single time I watch it, like once I get to the end, I have like this massive like motivation. Because that's kind of how Lorelai is. Lorelai has this dream. And she will kind of stop at nothing to make that dream happen. Yes, she has some setbacks. Yes, she, you know, has some hurdles and obstacles. But she never lets herself give up. And she just keeps pushing and pushing. And what adds to it is she's got like this incredible daughter, right? Like, and her daughter is just as bright, just as motivated as she is. And that's so, so awesome because, like, if I was younger when I watched that show, I think that I would have so much more, like, pep in my step, motivation to do things, you know, reach for the stars. But I just, you know, I fell a little short in that department. I have a lot of big dreams. I just don't really have the confidence in myself to achieve them. And now I feel like I've just kind of missed my chance. So I feel like if I would have watched that show as a younger, like a younger me, I kind of feel like I would have latched on a little tighter to some of the dreams I had back then. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please remember to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye!